Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In our today's video, we'll be creating this telemedicine usage dashboard. This dashboard is used to analyze the telemedicine just have to normal medical procedure, but this time around patients are being attended to by healthcare professionals online through using gadgets like tablets, desktop, or through the phone. All right, so we want to analyze their data set. How many consultations are these healthcare professionals doing in a day? We also want to see which gadget is mostly used by the healthcare professional and what condition type is mostly attended to. All right, so this is going to be a simple, straightforward dashboard for beginner or anybody that is looking to create a healthcare portfolio project. All right, this dashboard is also going to be making use of two filter option. We have the date filter and the consultation type filter. So for the date filter, we have a start date and an end date, when you can pick the year and also pick the month, the start date, year and month. And also for the end date, month and year as well. So also we also have the consultation type, where you can pick any consultation type. You can remove and you can also add a consultation type. All right, this is going to be the last project for this particular playlist, which has to do with creating Python dashboard project. So ensure to watch this video till the end. I'll also be dropping the data set on the video description section so that you can download it and code along with me. It is very important for you to code along, because just watching the video you might think you've understood everything, but probably when you want to do it on your own you start to find some difficulties. But once you download the data set and you walk along the process with me, it will be much more easier for you to understand and for you to be to be able to remember everything that you are going to be learning. All right, remember to give this video a thumbs up and also share this video, all right, so that we can reach a larger audience. And make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel if this is your first time you are coming across my video. So with that being said, you know the drill. Let's dive right in. So the first thing we want to do is to go ahead and create our Python file. And to do that, click on this new file icon and you can now add the name of the file. So let's call this our app dot. The most important thing is adding this extension, the .py. This is what makes it a Python file. So you can give it any name, but ensure that the extension is .py. All right, so once we click that, you can now see we have this Python icon at the side. So our Python file has been created, and also we have our CSV file. So this is our CSV file that contains the consultation ID, the patient age group, the gender, consultation type, the device that was used, the region, the duration of the consultation, the time, etc. All right, so now let's go back to our Python file. So the first thing we are going to do is to import those libraries which we are going to be using to create our dashboard. And the three major libraries are Streamlit, which we'll be using to run our dashboard. We would also be needing Pandas library, which will be importing as PD, and also the matplotlib library, which we'll be using to create charts in our dashboard. So let's go ahead and do that. So I've imported the three major libraries: Streamlit as ST, Pandas as PD, and matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. Once we've imported our libraries, we can now go ahead and read in our CSV file as a data frame object. Okay, so to read in your CSV file, you're going to be using the pd.read_CSV method, and you can now go ahead and pass in the file path. All right, so to do that, we'll say df is equals to pd.read. Okay, so you can see the option here, read_CSV, and we can now go ahead and pass in our file path. To get to the file path is very easy. Once you've saved the file, the CSV file on your computer system, just go ahead and go to the place you've saved that file. So for example, this CSV file is saved under the desktop section of my computer system. If I click on this, it takes me to the CSV file. So if I click on this and go to properties, I will be seeing the properties of this file, and what I need is the location. So we go ahead and copy this location. Okay, so once I copy this, I'll come back here and paste this here, and this is not all. I also need the title, so I'll also go ahead and copy this. This is the name of the file, the telemedicine underscore usage underscore dashboard. All right, so I'll go ahead and add this as well. So I'll give a slash and add this, and also ensure to add the CSV extension. So .csv, this is CSV file, and I'll come and put this arrow in front of this so that it can read in easily. All right, so with this we've been able to read in our CSV file. So if you followed any of my previous video, or if you've watched any of my previous video, you will notice that the next thing I usually do is to ensure that the date column in my data set is usually saved as a date data type. So in Python we have different data type. We have strings, we have integers, we have floats, we have lists, we have sets, we have dates, and etc. So I always make sure that the date column is saved as a date data type. And to do that is actually a very easy process. So if we go back to our CSV file, we have a date column, which is, let me go ahead and, which is this consultation date, right? So we want to ensure that our consultation date column is saved as a date data type. And to do that, we can use the pandas, which is pd.to underscore date time, all right, and just pass in the name of the column you want to save as a date data type. So you can see pd.to underscore date time, and this is the column we want to ensure it is saved as a date data type, right? The consultation date. So we just have to save this, and we'll be retaining the name or be saving this back as our consultation date column. Now once we are done with this, we've read in our data set, we've ensured our date column is saved as a date data type. The next thing we want to do now is to start creating the structure of our dashboard, and this is very necessary. Our dashboard is going to have a title, right? So we want to start doing that. Give our dashboard a title. If it's going to use filters, create the necessary filters. So this is the next step we are going to be taking, and to do this now we are going to be using Streamlit to carry out this task. So using Streamlit, which is ST, remember that we've imported Streamlit as ST, which is ST. To give our dashboard a title, we'll be calling the .title method, and we'll be saving this as our telemedicine usage dashboard. And also we'll be adding a short note saying that this dashboard tracks visual consultation, device usage, and common conditions that was treated via telemedicine. All right, so if I go ahead and save this, we've not really done much, but we can still see our dashboard. So if we go ahead and save this, Ctrl S to save, let's click on our terminal, let's click on new terminal. Okay, now let's say Streamlit run app. Remember the name of our file is app.py. So now let's go ahead and run this. So you will see that after a brief time, this is going to be running in our browser on our computer system. So okay, so now this is our dashboard. This is what we've built so far. We can see the title of our dashboard, and we can see our short description, right? So the next thing we want to do, we want to build a side panel that is going to be housing our filters. Okay, so we'll be creating two filters. We want to filter by dates, and we also want to be able to filter by the consultation type. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do that. So to create our sidebar, we just have to use the streamlit.sidebar.header and pass in our filters. This is just going to be like a short heading to say that this session is just going to be containing our filters. All right, so that's what is going to be there. Now to create our first filter, I told you we want to create a time period filter. I want to be able to filter by our date, right? And remember that the consultation date column is the column that houses our date. All right, so we'll be using the streamlit.sidebar.dates input method to create this filter. We want to be able to create a start date and a end date. We want the situation where we can input our start date and our end date. Okay, so we'll be using the sidebar streamlit.sidebar.date input method to do that. And what we have to do is to, our start date is going to be the minimum date in our consultation date column. So we can use the .min method to get the minimum value or the minimum dates from a date column, and our end date is going to be the maximum date in the consultation date column. And using the .max method, you can get the maximum date in a date column or the maximum value in an integer or float column. All right, so once we've gotten our start date and our end date, now we're going to use this to write a subset filter where we'll be saying that we want to be able to return all values that are either greater than or equals to our start date and are lesser than or equals to our end date. So we want all values, we want a situation where we can filter for values between the start date to the end date, which is between the minimum value date in our data set to the maximum date value in the data set. So we can now go ahead and save this as our filtered underscore df. So once we are done with the time period filter, the next filter we'll be looking at is the consultation type filter. So if we take a look at our CSV file once more, we have our consultation type column, which we have follow-up, specialist consultation, mental health. There are different types of consultation. So one to the ability for us to be able to filter for a specific consultation a patient came for. So the first thing we want to do is to get the unique values in our consultation type column. All right, so we want to get all the unique values. So using the .unique method in Python, we return all the distinct values. In SQL, you can call them distinct values. So we return all the unique values in our consultation type columns. All right, and we can save that as our options as well. So now we'll be using the st.sidebar.multi-select. So we want a situation where we can select more than one consultation type at a moment. So we'll be using the multi-select options, and we will just have to pass in that our unique values as our options. All right, so I will be saving that as our consultation underscore types. So now once we are done with that, we can now go ahead to get our filtered data, right? So remember, we've already gotten our filtered df. This filtered df is going to return rows of data between start date and the end date, right? So now what we are also adding to this is that we want to return not just only rows of data between start date and end date, but where that consultation type is present. All right, so for example, in our consultation type filter, if we make selections such as mental health and specialist consultation, we want to return only rows of data that meet that specific qualifications, right? So even if other rows like follow-up and general consultations are between the start and the end date, but they are not inside the consultation type filter, we don't want to see it. All right, so this is what we are doing using the .isin method. So with this, we've been able to create our filter DF, and we'll be able to create our filter. So if we go ahead and Control S to save this, and if we go to our dashboard once more, you'll see that we've made some improvements in our dashboard. We've made some improvement on our dashboard. So you can see we've created our filters. This is the subheading. This is our start date. We can pick any date. This is the end date. We can pick any date as well. And these are the various consultation type: follow-up, specialist consultation, mental health, and general consultation. And you can go ahead and pick any consultation type or deselect any consultation type from this. All right, so we've created our filter, we've created our dashboard title. Now we can now go ahead and start creating the charts for our dashboard. So the first chart we want to look at is the number of consultations over time. All right, so we want to see the number of consultations that were held over the period of selected time. So the first thing we want to do is to give this a header, a subheader, or a subtitle using the st.subheader method, and we'll be calling this our number of consultation over time. So once we are done with that, now we want to be able to get the numbers of consultations, how many consultations we had over the period of time. So to do this, we'll be using the dot group by method. We'll be grouping our filtered DF. Remember that this is the data set we are using now, our filtered DF. So we'll be grouping this filtered underscore DF data set by our consultation date, and with this we're able to return the various amounts of consultation we had for each day within the time period that was filtered for. So we can go ahead and save this at the consultations underscore over underscore time. So once we've gotten our data set or our table, the small table that contains this data set, we can now go ahead and use this to create a chart or plot our chart. And if you watch any of my previous video, you will see that we'll be making use of matplotlib.pyplot. So we'll be using the plt.subplot method in creating this chart. And for the plt.subplot method, it has two parts: the figure and the axis. So you use the axis, you create the chart on the axis, and you call on the figure to show your chart. So on the axis, we'll be saying we want to plot, since it's going to be a line plot, we want to plot our consultation over time. So the dot index is going to be the time frame, the various time dates, and the values are going to return the specific numbers of consultation for that particular day. So for example, if we have March 2nd, we want to see we had 7 consultations on March 2nd. March 8th, we had 2 consultations on March 8th, and so forth. So that's what is going to happen. So now we can now set our S label as date and our Y label as the number of consultations. So we can also use the plt.sticks to rotate our label at an angle of 45 degrees so that we can see all our labels, and we can now call on the figure using st.pyplot. So if we go ahead and save this, Control S, and now let's go back to our dashboard and let's go ahead and refresh this. All right, so it's just going to take a few minutes. Now you can see that we have our number of consultations over time plotted. So let's go ahead and let's say we are looking at values from 24th, and let's say we want to do, let's just look at January. All right, so January 31st. Okay, so we are looking at the consultations we had for the month of January. So you can see for January 1st, these are the data points. We had 1 consultations for these various days. All right, so let me go ahead and so you can see that once I unclick this, some data points remove. All right, so you can see now for this particular day there was no consultation. All right, so if I go ahead and add this, you can see we had 1 consultation for these various days. All right, so now let's go back to our VS Code and plot our next chart. So the next chart we'll be looking at is device usage. We have various devices. So for example, if we take a look at our CSV file, we have mobile, tablets, desktop, and so forth. All right, so we want to see, based on the various devices, how many consultations were held on these various devices, right? So that is what we want to do. So the first one to do is to give this a subtitle, and using the st the subheader, we can call this the device usage distribution. All right, so we want to see how many consultations were held using the various devices, and to do that we can just use the dot values count on the device used. So the device use column contains the particular device that was used. So if we call on the dot values count, it's just going to count, okay, for desktop we have 3 desktop, for tablets we have 4 tablets, for phones we have 5, and so forth. So the dot value count is just easily going to give us that answer, and we can now save this as the device count. So we'll be using this information now, or this information in this table, to plot our chart. So this time around we are going to be creating a pie chart because we want to see the various percentage each of these device is covering. All right, so using the plt.subplot method, but this time around we'll be calling the dot pie on our axis. All right, so we just have to call on the device count. We want to get the values. The labels is going to be the device count dot index. So the dot values is going to return all the values in the table, right? While the dot index is going to give us the title, the namings. Okay, so for example, desktop, tablet, and so forth. And we are going to be starting our angle at the angle of 90 degree. So by doing that already, we just have to call on the st.pie plot on our fig 2. And if we go ahead and save this, Ctrl S, and let's go back to our dashboard and rerun this, and let's see if our dashboard has been updated. All right, so if I go ahead and scroll down, you can see our dashboard has been updated. We now have our pie chart. We can see that desktop is taking about 32.6%, mobile is 33.1%, tablet is 34.3%. So more consultations were held using the tablets, followed desktop, and followed by mobile, and then desktop. All right, so we can go ahead and filter this as well. So let's say we want to see for 2024, we want to see, okay, from March 12th. All right, so you can see now that the values have changed. We see have more people. We have more people using desktop, then mobile, and then tablet. So if you can also go ahead and deselect a particular consultation type. Sorry, let's pick some, let's say mental health and follow up, and you can see how this pie chart changes as well. All right, so now let's go ahead and create our next chart. So the next chart we'll be creating is the common conditions treated. So we want to look at the various consultation types that were had. So under the consultation type column, you can see we have specialist consultation, mental health, follow up, general consultation, etc. All right, so we want to see for each of these various consultation type, how many were mental health, how many were just general consultation, how many were specialist consultation, and that. So the best way for us to get those values is using the dot value count, just like we did previously. So calling the dot values count on our consultation type column is going to return the various consultation type and the values, the numbers of times these various consultation types occurred. All right, so we can now use the plt.subplot method, and this time around we'll be creating a bar chart. So calling the dot bar method on our axis, we are going to be passing the conditions count. So we'll be passing this data, the conditions count, and we'll be getting the dot index. The dot index is just going to give us the names of these columns, right? So the specialist, the general consultation, mental health, those various names is going to be on our index, while the dot values is going to be giving us the numbers, how many specialists consultations were there, how many mental health consultations, and so forth. So we'll be using the set underscore y label to give our chart a name for our Y label, and also the set underscore S label to give this a label. So consultation type will be the S label. So calling on the st.py plot and passing in our fig3 will be able to create our third chart. So if I go ahead and save this, Ctrl S to save, let's go back to our dashboard. Let's go back and refresh this and see if our new chart has been added. Okay, so you can see we have our line chart, the device usage and distribution, and we also have this bar chart. So we can see for follow-up we had more follow-up consultations, then we had general consultation, mental health consultation, specialist consultation. You can see that these labels are overlapping, and to overlap this, remember that we use this plt.s tick rotation equals to 45. So you can also go ahead and apply this, and it would help you to rotate your labels. So the last thing we want to do is to create a preview table of our data set. We want to see the first 10 rows of our data set. So to do that is also very easy as well. If you've seen any of my previous video, in almost all my videos I did something like that. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So to get the data preview, what we'll just have to do is to get the dot head. That's the first 5 rows of our filtered df. We can go ahead and make this 10 by passing in any 10, any value of your choice. If you want to see the first 5, you can just leave it at the dot head. But if you want to reduce or increase the value, then you can go ahead and specify how many rows of data you would want to see. So calling on the st.data frame, will be saving this as a data frame table object. All right, so you can go ahead, save this as well, go back to your dashboard, refresh your dashboard, and you'll see that now we would have our table already built as well. So you can see we have our data preview and we have the first 10 rows of our data, and this table can also be filtered as well. The filter option applies on this as well. So we can see for 2024 we can decide to say, okay, we want to see the February, and we want to see for up to 2022 of February. So this gives us the first 10 rows of that filtered data frame. So for example, we have these are special consultation, follow-up, specialist. So for example, if I say I don't want to see for follow-up, I can go ahead and uncheck this, and you'll see now that the follow-up rows have been removed because we've removed them from our filter option. Okay, so this is how I was able to create this telemedicine usage dashboard. It is easy, beginner friendly, straightforward, and it is something that you can easily recreate and add to your healthcare data analysis portfolio project. All right, so if you are going to be recreating this, ensure to drop a comment in the comment section. I would also be attaching the data set file on the video description section so that it will be easy for you to download and recreate this at your own space, and also add this to your portfolio project if you are in the process of creating a portfolio project for your healthcare data analysis career. So I hope this video was very helpful to you. You can also go through this playlist and you'll see other videos relating to creating dashboard on emergency room visits, immunization dashboard. I've created other dashboard as well, so you can also go through the playlist and watch the videos on those, and you can recreate any one of your choice or anyone that catches your attention. All right, if you have any question, ensure to drop your questions in the comment section, and the best thing you can do for me is to share, like, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also drop your comments in the comment section. So guys, with that being said, bye for now and see you in my next video.